So every individual has certain instincts where that makes them who they are. And
The Kobe test, did you say?
yeah, the Kobe test. Yeah, it's by a lady named by Kathy Kobe, and they talk about how the brain has three parts to it, and most of the time people talk about just kind of like the intellect side, which is like the cognitive side of your brain, like how smart you are. Okay, conation is more of instincts on where you're at. So the example that they use a lot is they'll say that a cat will always know it's a cat and it will chase a mouse. Right? A mouse will know it's always a mouse, so if it sees a cat, it will run. Right? That's their instincts, okay? Human beings, animalistic as I guess we are, you know, some people might argue that we are not, but we have certain instincts. So if you ever have tried to do a project or try to start something where you instinctively, boom, you start, but maybe you have some challenges on actually taking it to the finish line or finish something. Okay, or maybe you're able to actually start something, but maybe you have some challenges, keep on doing that over a sustained period of time until you feel bored or until you feel burnt out, right? Or other side of the spectrum is maybe sometimes you need to gather all the information ahead of time where they're asking all kinds of questions that maybe, you know, you feel it's irrelevant or maybe you feel it's relevant before you take your first step. Right. Other thing is sometimes to learn, you have to physically do stuff with your hand to be able to say, oh, no, I got this. Versus other people might say, hey, you know what, they tell them once and they just visually see it in their brain and they're just, okay, I got it. Right. So those are all instincts. So the instincts are broken down into four parts. Should I talk about it? Okay. Is the first one is they call how you gather information and organize information. And that's considered to be like fact finding. So the scores doesn't necessarily mean, like when you take the assessment at Kobe.com, and I highly recommend everyone to take it, and all my clients I work with typically will take that. Did you take it? I think you only took one of the other tests. Yeah. So you're missing that. So everyone that typically will take that. Now, the fact finding is how you gather and organize information. Now, the score doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or good because it's on a scale of 1 to 10. It just means that's who you are, right? So if you have considered a high fact-finding score, it means that you are very detail-oriented and you'll ask the right question and ask details. So when you tell even stories or for you to learn, you got to get details, right? Versus if you're low on the fact-finding, you're more of a direct, hey, give me the straight stuff, you know, hey, give me the 3 points or 4 points and that's it. And as well as when you tell stories, it's going to be very broad. Okay. Now the second one is how you actually organized your surroundings and your life, the tangibles and intangible, and that's called the follow-through. So if you have a high, high score on the follow-through, it means that you're you like systems, right? You create systems instantly, right? If you're very low, it's kind of like, hey, you just do typically stuff on the whim, and you might be a little bit disorganized, right? So I'm the same way, yeah. So and then the third one is how you actually manage what they call risk, okay? But really what they talk about is it's quick start. So, and the reason why they call it quick start is because how quickly can you move or react to something in a situation. So if you're high on quick start, typically you can initiate things very quickly. And then you might have heard stuff from since your childhood, like, man, you're fast at doing this. Or like, wow, you're really good at this, and then like, wow, you just already started, like if you do that, you typically probably have a high quick start, okay? And and the reason why I say it's like how you can manage risk is because, if caveman days, right? Like if you didn't have all the information, you wouldn't take action, right? So you have to be able to manage risk very quickly. So if you have a low one, then that means that you typically will not initiate anything until you actually physically are like, oh my God, my life's on the line. Yeah. Okay. So, and then the fourth one is how you view the world and how you learn by the intangible things and the tangible things. So, and it's called implementer. So again, going back to its fact finder, followed through, quick start, and implementer. So when I say implementer, it doesn't necessarily mean like, hey, you like tangible stuff, physical. Okay, no, it's just how you view the world. So for example, if you have to typically learn from actually physically doing, it means that you probably have a high implementer or you like to do things with your hands. If you have a lower score on the implementer, then that typically means that you can just envision stuff in your mind and be able to see things happen before they happen. So for example, right? So first, let's use an example. Like mine is I'm considered a super quick start, okay? But I'm lower score on fact finding and follow through, as well as I'm a lower score on implementer. So I can start stuff and manage risks very quickly, but I don't like to do research and or I'm not a great manager. Okay, I'm good at it because those are learned traits that I've developed over the course of the year. But it's not where I feel like I'm in the zone, right? So even to a point where like they've tested this at Kobe, where they'll put like the EKG machines on your brain, and they'll ask people to solve a problem, and you give someone to a quick start like me to solve a problem. I'll improvise and find the shortest path to find an answer, okay? And then the certain part of your brain starts firing up. But then if they change the game on me and they'll say, hey, do the exact same thing you just did, but do it again without missing a step, right? My brain shuts down and the different parts of my brain starts firing, and that causes stress in my mind, right? So how do you do it? For example, a lot of the school system and even a lot of the business coaches, if people are pressing hard on, build a system first, right? Research and build a system. They probably have guess what? High fact finding, high follow through because it worked for them. Okay. Other people where they'll say, hey, you know what? Ready, fire, aim. You might hear that a lot, right? Guess who they are, right? They're probably quick start people that are saying that. Say, hey, you don't need all the information. Just go in and do it, right? And they're preaching their gospel, right? They're just like, go do it, go do it, go do it, right? And not only to say go do it, but if they tell you to actually physically do it yourself first, they probably have a high implementing side too. So they have a like mid-level high implementing, and they're saying, hey, just go do it, right? Go do it yourself and then figure it out first, and then you can figure out the rest of the stuff later, right? So again, so when you understand those DNA, you know those missing parts. So once you have that, then you already know on your team, like even an assistant that you need to bring on board, if you're lacking the strong, the high fact, the fact finding or follow, that you need to bring them on your team. Right? Especially if you have a low follow through, you need systems built. You need to get someone with a high follow through, or you need to have a 5 follow through plus a high quick start if you need systems built fast like that. Right? So like for example, like mine is like my like Elaine, right? So she has a strong fact finding and mid-level to high follow through. So when we work on a project, we bump heads, but I get it going and I just throw it to her, and then she'll create some systems that work like it's just like wow, and then I go back in and I retweak it and then make it better, and it's kind of teeter-totter, it gets better and better. So even my clients that typically come to me, right? And I don't like to openly talk about this, and because Kobe actually stopped talking about this, because I believe that they put labels on people, right? So if they put labels on people, they might feel like, oh, I'm not the person. Because before they used to have the DNA for the perfect entrepreneur, right? They'll say your score needs to be this to be an entrepreneur, right? So, but I'll share it, which is you have to have a high quick start. Okay, and it's like 7 and above, as well as a 6 and above on follow through, as well as a 7 and above on fast start. And the implementer, they need it to be 2 or lower. So one, you can gather all the information that you need, right? So you get the right information. Not only that, but your follow through is pretty strong, mid to higher strong. So that means you can kind of quickly create systems. And then thirdly, you can take action very fast. Okay, and then having a super low implementer score, you don't have to physically do it yourself to see it happening in your mind. So then they said that's the perfect entrepreneur DNA, right? And they used to do that. So like on mine being, I used to walk around and tell people I'm a one-legged entrepreneur because, I'm a quick start guy, but then, hey, like my fact finding is low. So knowing that, like I have to pump my brakes. Right? So when people talk to me all the time and they have conversations with me, I come up with ideas and they'll be like, man, like this genius, how come you haven't done that yet? It's because I don't have all the facts, and I've learned that I need to pump my brakes when I'm in that zone where I feel excited and I'm just like blah 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 blah. I'm like, nah, I need to slow down, So versus I think someone else that has like a super high quick start where they're just like researching on the internet, buying courses, reading books, and they're just like man, like I got all the information, but I haven't started anything, right? That probably means you have a very slow quick start, right? So your goal to combat that is one, you got to say, hey, enough is enough and go start something, right? So you got validation by taking the test, and or bring someone on board, right? Bring a VA on board, bring an assistant on board. Maybe you partner up at that time with a business partner that actually has a super high quick start. So you did all the research and be like, look, this is it. And if you have a high follow through, you'll click like bullet points on what you need to pass it on to a quick start. You may not like how they do it, but they'll get that shit done. Yeah, they'll get it done and they'll get your results, And then you go back and take your strong fact finding and follow through and review what the quick start guy did, and then start tweaking. So, and that's the kind of the reason why, like when you know your unique abilities, you know your unique strengths, and plus you know where you start in your business, then Now you have kind of a better roadmap versus, getting more, sitting and then getting information from other places and things like that, which is always good to have, but you got to know where you're at. You can't, a map without knowing where you start ain't gonna take you nowhere. So, yeah.
Very